This here is a video of Sylvester McCoy being well classy in introducing Ncuti Gatwa to the Doctor Who universe. He's right, you know, critics can be a villain, and he'd know. He's here to show his support, and you know what, so am I. The Chosen Chimp proudly welcomes Ncuti Gatwa and Yasmin Finney to the Whoniverse. You have my love and support. And yes, I'm curious as to why Yasmin Finney's character is called Rose, because I clearly remember that Rose is also the name of that spaceship from Flux. I'm an idiot. All this new blood. I'm excited. What are you up to, Mr. T, you sly old pickle? Good times ahead. What did you think of the centenary and 60th anniversary specials, by the way, for those watching this video 2 years after it was published? Sound off in the comments. Okay, that's the timey-wimey evergreen portion of the video out the way. Curse of Fenric, one of Doctor Who's maddest dives into sort of emotionally driven cosmic horror, and I'm here to support the case that it is awesome. Chosen Chimp here. McCoy knows that critics are formidable. His tenure saw the 2.5-decade hiatus of Doctor Who in TV episodic format. It's not his fault. He was a great Doctor. Season 26 marked the end. I see this season as just the right kind of delve into extreme Doctor Who experimentation. For example, Battlefield, and I don't think I've harped on about this enough on my channel, is actually one of my favourites. Ghostlight is all kinds of bonkers, and Survival, though mildly naff on the surface, contains a lot of emotional subtext. It wasn't meant to be the last of the classic era, but in a way it is a sort of fitting bit of closure, all things considered. And then, in the midst of it all, Curse of Fenric. Dear Curse of Fenric, what are you? It is genuinely everything it's meant to be. It's weird, it's creepy, with lashings of surreal. Written by Ian Briggs, who also wrote Dragonfire, and keep that in your head, y'all, it's important. Curse of Fenric is a 4-part sprawl of wartime peril with lashings of Norse myth, bouncing off of Lovecraftian madness, and boxed and gaffer-taped in the McCoy era's unique brand of cryptic. It also plays into a long-running story arc that audiences didn't even know existed. The kind that the revival seasons that we now know and love really depended on. Like a lot of the McCoy shows, it served as a proto-template for the Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat eras respectively, and the bizarre nature in which some of the narrative and themes are covered appear to have matured pretty darn nicely by my reckoning, as have much of the effects and acting. Visually, this serial is great. Genuinely, I can't fault it, except of course those subtitles at the beginning, which are possibly the most ghastly thing I've ever seen. Truly the stuff of nightmares. Oh, I can't look at them. Luckily, these Soviet soldiers switched to communicate into English pretty early on, thank goodness. It's 1943. They're on a mission to infiltrate this British military base in coastal Northumberland and steal this, the Ultima Machine, a 1940 supercomputer used to intercept and decipher Nazi messages. The big brains work in the controls is Dr. Judson, who is to the Ultima Machine what Alan Turing was to the Enigma machine in the real world. Both Ultima and Judson are fully based on their real-life counterparts, except in this case it was decided that TV family audiences in the 80s were as of yet unable to palatize a character with repressed homosexuality, as Turing was in the real world. So instead, that frustration was represented in the form of a disability, hence the wheelchair. He's endlessly snappy with his carer, who is endlessly patronising to him in return, and boy does that turbulence come to fruition. But Judson does get on well enough with the Doctor and Ace. He would, he's a professor. Also on this base is Commander Millington, a sullen character by design who is driven to beat the Nazis by thinking like a Nazi, though as you can see he's overcooked the method a little. And yes, we can all see the AH at the beginning of his name. The fact that Millington's very quest of wiping out the entirety of Germany and not just the German military makes him everything he despises, but seeing as he's actually trying to become everything he despises, I don't think there's a great deal of irony to be found here. As you'd expect, he's a heel, fascinated in chess. Again, keep that in your heads. There are subtle nods to the fact that he caused Judson to end up in a wheelchair because of an accident when they were at school together. The novelisation clarifies this even further. There's no end of philosophical banter between them, and an underlining love perhaps. Particularly interesting is this scene where Judson prophesies computers one day being able to think like humans, and Millington immediately says, but whose thoughts will they think? That's sort of a good point. Just don't be a Nazi. We've also got Vicarless Parsons. Sorry, he's a reverend. And his name is Wainwright. Other characters include London East End evacuee rebellious teenagers Jean and Phyllis, and their minder, the harrowingly joyless fire and brimstone wench Miss Hardiker. We also got the wonderfully portrayed Kathleen Dudman of the Women's Royal Naval Service and her cute little babby, a bundle of joy who Ace takes an instant, profound, self-fulfilling shine to. The profoundness increasing ever more when she finds out that the baby is called Aubrey, also the name of her own mother who she hated. Keep it in your heads. So, who else we got? Oh yeah, the Doctor. Oh, the Doctor. The Doctor, as seen and heard in The Curse of Fenric, is something else again. He's straight out the TARDIS, making a beeline for the military barracks, and of course the resident Marines follow his every command because he has that effect on the British military. He's forging signatures to indicate that he's from the War Office to talk specifically to Judson, though him and Churchill are like that, so maybe he didn't forge them. What is he up to? Why did he come here? Until the last episode of this four-parter, he gives zero indication as to why. Not even to Ace. His mission is exact and calculated. Kinda reminds me of number 11 with the Almost people. Him staring at the yes she's pregnant, no she's not pregnant thing at the beginning. The Doctor doesn't stumble haplessly into this quest like he always does. He is the quest. He's working forces beyond our understanding, and this is one of the many cool things about the narrative of Curse of Fenric. The concept that the audience are not on a level playing field of knowledge with the Doctor is pretty rare for a Doctor Who story when you think about it, but it really works because the Doctor is a lot smarter than we are. It's nice being beholden to him in that way, and McCoy plays it like a dream. Maiden's Point is weird, it's just a weird place, brimming with turbulent characters and intense synth music, and that's the 7th Doctor's ballpark. Nighttime draws in and everyone starts to sport their own brand of bizarre. The Soviet team appear cursed from the word go. The 2 East End girls succumb to the waters of Maiden Point despite the scolding from the old hag who claims that the screams of young girls with evil in their hearts can be heard on the shores. Don't go to the nightclub that plays the cool music, that's what she's saying there, or else. Yeah, that approach has always worked with teenagers, hasn't it? They look fully deterred from putting the fun in Northumberland. And when the actual Curse of Fenric manifests, they turn into vampires with siren-esque qualities, and so cheerio to the old battle axe, now drained of blood. Ugh, dangerous undercurrents, the sign that told the story in one easy line. So here we are folks, vampires on the loose. Central to the otherworldly shenanigans of this story, however, is St. Jude's Church, which was built on old Viking graves and the evil that was buried with them. The silverware is cursed, just basically anything silver and treasure-ish is cursed. And Judson is out to decipher the ever-materialising 9th century Viking runestones carved upon the crypts beneath. Not a great deal to do with Nazi decoding, but the Ultima machine is working overtime regardless. Still not exciting enough for you? Well, boom. Secret laboratory to boot. Millington is tapping the resource of evil concealed beneath the church, i.e. this green ooze coming out of that tiny funnel, and looky what he's preparing to unleash on the enemy via wartime air raid from above. That's a lot of bombs, and it doesn't matter that they're all stuck together because it's a slightly bad prop. You're missing the point. He's planning on betraying the Russian allies by allowing them to steal intel on the Ultima machine, which is actually secretly powered by the evil slimy stuff. The cipher is rigged to detonate once a certain word is translated, a word that has been programmed by Millington himself. Love. Boy, this is deep. The things that this guy does for love. Great job playing about with those forces you have zero understanding of, mate. What a random cacophony of events all of this is, am I right? Except that they're not random at all. Behold the cosmic chess game that is Curse of Fenric. For anybody who hasn't seen this, you'd be amazed by just how it all clicks at the end. These inscriptions, though peppered with references to Norse mythology as spoken by the Vikings of the day, tell of sunken ships and comrades fallen to the curse, but they are actually part of a computer code that when run through the Ultima machine triggers the awakening of Fenric, as well as these things. Oh, Hemivores. Hemivores. Come on. Horrid blue floaters. Look at them. Just, come on. These are Brilliant monsters, and they are utilised perfectly with the mist and the water and everything. Right creatures, right context. It's incredible. I love it. See how this serial isn't called Curse of the Hemivores, because these guys are only the tip of the narrative iceberg. Just one of the many unsettling delights on offer in this serial, but easily the most memorable. I think that's why I like them so much. They're not overplayed. The Doctor explains that Hemivores are simply what Homo sapiens could evolve into thousands of years from now should planet Earth get all wrecked and damaged in an industrial wasteland. Well, it beats those. Apparently they can also weld metal beneath the sea with their bare hands. Huh. Okay, so that's what the treasure is all about then. It's all part of the trap. So despite all the obvious props and tropes of characters, I wouldn't say that religious connotations are the core themes to this story. The character of Reverend Wainwright is merely a wedge in a larger theme about faith and belief. Not spiritual, purely scientific. You believe something hard enough, it creates a psychic barrier and repels these nasties. With Ace, it's the Doctor. With the Soviet commander, it's the ideals represented by the hammer and sickle. With the Doctor, it's his former companions, which in one scene he mumbles the names of. Starting with Susan and going right through the list chronologically. I think he misses out Ian. With the chosen Chimp, it's a picture of Ibrahim Namin, you get the point. And with the Reverend, it's the good book, except his faith is waning because of the horrors he's seen in the wartime world. In his very last scene, these vampire girls goad him into no longer believing in his own ability to believe, and so he's toast. I think this is the story telling us not to let go of our beliefs even if they appear naive on the surface. They still count, they still have power, and the plausibility that it creates a psychic barrier is so Russell T, it's invigorating. It's a crucial and highly intelligent element of the story. In terms of action Doctor Who-y stuff, the Curse of Fenric boils down to a battle against evil which was let loose, according to the Doctor, at the dawn of creation. Think of this place as Ground Zero, where the small fries, those who don't die horribly or get turned into vampires, oh my gosh, all of them, rally together. Putting all differences aside in that, these British and Soviet soldiers buddy up respectively, and all they needed was one small exchange of dialogue. Let's join forces, fight the real enemy. That's a really good idea. And yeah, there you go. Lovely little twinkle in their eye there. As the secrets emerge to what exactly in the dickens is going on in this story, us 2022 heads can slowly piece together why this is similar to the clever gubbins of Doctor Who that we all gorged on 2005 onward. The most notable thing is the sheer scope of the antagonistic forces at work here. When the Fenric awakens and takes over the body of Judson, we play the contest again, Time Lord. What a line. The legacy of this creature and its relationship with the Doctor is brought to light. According to Fenric's testimony, the Doctor left him trapped in the shadow dimensions for 17 centuries. The Doctor carved bones from the desert sands to make chess pieces and challenged Fenric to this puzzle, which is what got him imprisoned. That is such a Sylvester McCoy thing to do. And that's why the Doctor is here and came here in the first place, to play again and finish the job. During the last millennia, Fenric brought some players of his own into the game, also known as the Wolves of Fenric. Captain Sorin was by design brought here because the lineage of the Fenric curse dated all the way back through his family tree, and a similar thing goes for this troubled creature from the deep, deep future. Look, in Geiger, the Ancient One. She, fandom, lived in the year 500,000, by which time planet Earth was an industrial swamp. I find that really on point. Stuff of nightmares there. The backstory that Orphan 55 wished it was. The Ancient One was then brought back through time by the Fenric to unearth the flask containing the Fenric way back in the 10th century. All it had to do then was lie in wait for its next orders. All players, all chess pieces, literal physical chess pieces, different creatures in different times, all brought together in a cosmic marriage of villainy. Fenric, hats off. And then, distinguished followers of Chimp, there is Ace. I probably should have mentioned it earlier, but Ace is the star of the show, bar none. My little face lit up when I saw her in that trailer. Ace was the original, you might say. The Donna Noble, the Rose Tyler, the Clara Oswald of her day. She was brought into play by the Fenric to bring her right to this point and supposedly give the game away, in order to allow the Fenric to be free and reign terror on the Earth. You all knew that right, Ace was and is a cosmic anomaly all of her very own, teleported to the ice world in Dragonfire so that her and the Doctor could cross paths. Otherwise, how else can she create her own self? Yep, that little baby Aubrey is her mum, who Ace sends packing with Grandma Kathleen towards the future home of her childhood. She basically is the product of the Fenric. And have you worked out yet how this differs to the mysteries of Bad Wolf, the Dr. Donna and the Impossible Girl? It's this. The Doctor knew all about it from the word go, sensing Fenric's powers as soon as he got wind of the time storm in Dragonfire. He knew all of flipping long. All these stories. He knew it was leading to this moment. Alright, we can be honest with ourselves here. It's a great concept, not perfectly executed. Perhaps John Nathan Turner and the relevant crew of 80s Doctor Who had no idea what they were onto here. But the brilliance of the long game established 2 seasons prior is woefully understated. Nothing in any of the episodes were constructed with the idea of supporting this narrative except for a few references in Silver Nemesis. But hey, maybe that's why it works. Maybe there's a quality to this that is so rewarding because your brain has to work the extra mile to unravel it. There is a cosmic game played over the course of several centuries, and the Doctor almost viciously is one step ahead of everyone else, none least of all Ace. And Ace, wow. It's probably, and I say probably because this is how I'm interpreting it, that it's no coincidence that she is fully emotionally immersed in this setting, not least of all with Kathleen and the baby. She gives out nothing less than her full emotional attention during that harrowing and wholly appropriate scene given the wartime setting, when Kathleen receives the news that she's lost her partner in battle. It's very tastefully done and very poignant, and also rather surreal given that it's grandmother and granddaughter embracing together in grief. Yes, we get plenty of the action, loving, blowing stuff up tomboy Ace, but there's so much more than that. How about we up the intensity a little and go to the scene where Milligan, yeah, take that by the way, has them up against the firing line and she screams, "Mum, I'm sorry," when supposedly in the throes of death. Presumably this is directed at the baby during the moments when she fully believes she has failed this little bundle of joy. There is also a scene where she tries to lure a British guard away from his post in a somewhat saucy distraction and gets profoundly philosophical in the process. Sometimes I move so fast I don't exist anymore. How very apt. When she says this, she suddenly has an intuitive psychic connection with the rising of Fenric, and then she scarpers. Naturally, she gets irked at the Doctor when she finds out that he has manoeuvred her into position very much like the Fenric did. During the finale, and it's the kind of finale that works so well in Doctor Who, everyone is dead, gone mad, or profoundly heroic, toxic grenades are being thrown and the big bad Fenric is planning to irreversibly pollute the entire Earth. The 2 vampire girls have melted because Doctor Who horror, that's why. The cosmic chess game ensues and the Doctor has to dive straight into the gutter of nastiness to cause Ace to lose faith in him, thus breaking the psychic barrier which was stopping the Ancient One from doing that. Fenric beaten. Fenric was smart and played a good game, what with the 1,000-year-old trap and all, but the Doctor had him won over every step of the way, and the culmination of his checkmate was to call his companion all kinds of nasty names. Social misfit, emotional cripple. Ace is understandably broken by this, and it's heartbreaking to watch. The Doctor apologises afterwards, revealing that he had no choice to do it, but still, cold, Doc, cold. By far, the most moving scene of this entire adventure is the very last one, at the shores of Maiden Point, arguably the most personal moment of Ace's entire tenure. She says to the Doctor, "Why can't I stop hating her?" The Doctor says, "You loved the baby," and the way that Ace says, "I didn't know she was my mum," is, man, tug her on the heartstrings or what? And the Doctor collectively encourages her to face her fears in a manner that may have failed previously in Ghostlight when he tries to get her to face her fears. She dives fully uniformed into the water. Whoa. Whilst submerged, you hear her comforting the baby and saying, "I will always love you," in a weird echoey loop. She comes out the other side anew, and there it is folks, your happy ending. Dangerous undercurrents. Yeah. Curse of Fenric, though possibly not the most universally functional execution of clever and dramatic, is still masterpiece material when you dig that little bit deeper into it. It's the culmination of some of the best ideas of 80s Doctor Who, and in many ways it's the timber from which the house of modern Doctor Who was built. Strange, creepy drama, where every character and every idea shines. I hope you enjoyed this review. The Chimp is here to serve. What other Doctor Who stuff would you like me to talk about? Sound off in the comments, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Have a good one.